The words echoed in the sterile silence of the hospital room, a cruel counterpoint to the gentle beeping of the machines in the NICU where our 9 children slept. "You're too much, Maria. This is all too much." David's voice, usually a source of comfort and strength, was now laced with a cold, sharp edge that cut deeper than any scalpel. He stood by the door, his hand on the knob, his face a mask of resentment and exhaustion. He wasn't just talking about the 9 tiny lives we had just brought into the world. He was talking about me. I was too much. My body, broken and stitched back together after a delivery that had made medical history, was too much. My love, fierce and unwavering for each of our 9 children, was too much. My refusal to reduce our family, to sacrifice some for the sake of others, was too much. He had said I was too much after I gave him 9 children, and with those words, he shattered the world we had built together. And I watched him walk away, the door closing with a soft click that sealed the end of our marriage. The divorce papers, which he had left on the bedside table, felt like a final, brutal insult. Irreconcilable differences. The legal jargon was a cold, impersonal summary of a love I thought was invincible. Our differences weren't irreconcilable, they were just 9 impossibly small, impossibly perfect babies who needed a father, and he had chosen to walk away. The world outside celebrated our miracle, but within the walls of our once happy home, a different story was unfolding. A story of profound betrayal, of a love that withered under the weight of responsibility. The physical scars of childbirth would heal, but the emotional devastation he inflicted felt permanent, a constant reminder of the fragility of promises and the crushing reality of being utterly, terrifyingly alone. He had wanted a family, but only a version that fit into his neat, manageable world. When our family became too big, too loud, too much, he didn't just leave. He made it my fault, my excess, my unreasonableness. He had made me the villain in a story where I was simply a mother, fiercely protective of the children we had both prayed for. Our journey to parenthood had been a long and arduous one, paved with disappointment and heartache, years of trying, countless negative tests, and the quiet despair that settled in after each failed attempt. David and I had always envisioned a large family, a house filled with laughter, and the joyful chaos of children. We poured our hearts and savings into fertility treatments, clinging to every sliver of hope. He was my rock, my unwavering optimist, always reminding me that our time would come, that our family was destined to be. When the first ultrasound revealed not 1, but 2 heartbeats, we were ecstatic. Twins! It felt like a divine reward for our perseverance. David was over the moon, already planning their future, his excitement infectious. NBUT then came the second ultrasound, and the doctor's stunned silence. "There are more," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I count 9. 9. The word echoed in the small room, a surreal, impossible number. Our joy morphed into a terrifying disbelief. The doctor spoke of the extreme risks, the astronomical odds against all of them surviving, let alone being born healthy. She presented the option of selective reduction, a clinical term for a choice that felt barbaric, unthinkable. My mind reeled, grappling with the enormity of it all. But David, my ever-optimistic David, was surprisingly firm. "No," he declared, his hand covering mine, his voice resolute. "They are all our children. Every single one is a gift. We will keep them all." He saw it as a sign, a blessing for our years of struggle, a testament to our faith. He became obsessed with the pregnancy, reading every book, tracking my diet, massaging my swollen feet. He was the perfect, doting father-to-be, meticulously assembling 9 cribs, painting the nursery, building a nest for the family he had always wanted. I watched him, my heart swelling with love, and I believed him. I believed in his strength, in his promises. I believed we were in this together, ready to face the impossible, hand in hand. I never once imagined that the man who prayed for a miracle would be the first to run from it, leaving me to face the impossible alone. The dream, once a shared vision of abundance, had grown beyond his capacity to embrace, becoming something he perceived as, quote, too much. The delivery was a blur of controlled chaos, a testament to the dedication of the medical team. Over 30 doctors and nurses, a small army, worked in perfect synchronicity to bring our non-uplets into the world. One by one they emerged, impossibly small, fragile, yet perfect in every detail. Their tiny cries, though faint, filled the operating room with a sound more beautiful than any symphony. They were immediately whisked away to the NICU, a flurry of activity surrounding their delicate forms. I was exhausted, my body screaming in protest, but a profound sense of accomplishment and overwhelming love washed over me. I was a mother of 9. When they finally wheeled me in to see them, David was already there, standing by the incubators, but the joy I expected to see on his face was absent. Instead, there was a flicker of something else, fear, raw and unmasked. A panic that seemed to deepen with every tiny breath our children took. NTHE first few days were a relentless cycle of beeping machines, hushed conversations with doctors, and the constant gnawing anxiety that clung to me like a second skin. The sheer magnitude of our situation began to sink in, and it was overwhelming. The medical bills, already astronomical, piled up like a cruel monument to our miracle. The media, ever hungry for a sensational story, had descended upon the hospital, turning our private joy and terror into a public spectacle. David, once my unwavering support, grew distant. He spent hours on his phone, his brow furrowed with worry, his conversations clipped and tense. "The house is too small," he'd mutter, pacing the room. "How will we afford formula? Diapers for 9? What about college?" The practicalities, once dismissed as minor details, now loomed like insurmountable mountains in his mind. The man who had been my rock began to crumble. He visited the NICU less and less, offering flimsy excuses. Work was busy, he was tired, he needed to sort out our finances. When he did come, he was withdrawn, a ghost, haunting the edges of our new reality. I tried to reach him, to reassure him. "We'll figure it out, David," I'd plead, my own voice trembling with exhaustion and fear. "We'll do it together, just like we always planned." But he would only shake his head, a look of utter despair in his eyes. "You don't get it, Maria. This is not a plan, it's a catastrophe." The word struck me like a physical blow. Catastrophe. He was looking at our children, our precious miracles, and seeing a disaster. He saw me, their mother, as the embodiment of this disaster, the one who had brought too much into his life. The cracks in our foundation were widening into chasms, and I was terrified that we were about to fall apart, taking our fragile new family with us. NTHE day he left is etched into my memory with agonizing clarity. The babies were 3 weeks old, still in the NICU, but making slow, steady progress. They were fighters, every single one of them. I had just come home for a few precious hours, desperate for a shower and a meal that didn't come from a vending machine. The house, usually filled with the phantom echoes of a life we were building, was eerily quiet. I walked into the bedroom and found David packing a suitcase. Not a hospital bag for me, not a bag for the baby's homecoming, but a suitcase for himself. My heart seized in my chest. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, a desperate plea for this to be a nightmare. NHE wouldn't look at me. He continued folding his shirts with a cold, mechanical precision, his movements devoid of emotion. "I'm leaving, Maria." He said it so calmly, so matter-of-factly, as if he were announcing a trip to the grocery store. I couldn't process it. I thought it was a cruel, stress-induced joke, a twisted prank. But then I saw his eyes, and they were empty. The love, the warmth, the man I had married. It was all gone, replaced by a chilling void. "You can't," I pleaded, grabbing his arm, my fingers digging into his flesh. "David, you can't leave us. The babies need you. I need you." He finally turned to me, and his face was a mask of pure resentment, contorted by a bitterness that shocked me to my core. "No, you don't get to say that," he spat, his voice laced with venom. "This was your choice. You're the one who refused to reduce. You wanted this circus. You can have it." The cruelty of his words stole the air from my lungs. He was twisting my unwavering love for our children into a weapon, rewriting our shared history, erasing his own fervent prayers for a family. He was making this my fault, absolving himself of any responsibility. He zipped up his suitcase with a harsh final sound and walked towards the door. I was sobbing now, tears streaming down my face, begging him to stay, to think about our children, to remember the promises he had made. He paused at the threshold, his back to me, a silhouette against the fading light. "I'll have my lawyer send the papers," he said, his voice devoid of any emotion, and then he walked out, closing the door softly behind him. The click of the latch was the sound of our life together ending. I collapsed onto the floor, the silence of the house pressing in on me, a crushing weight of grief and utter, terrifying loneliness. He hadn't just left me, he had abandoned 9 innocent babies, his own flesh and blood, because he was a coward, incapable of facing the beautiful, overwhelming reality of our miracle. His final verdict was that I, and the life I had brought forth was simply too much for him to bear. For a week, I existed in a haze, a painful, disoriented autopilot. I shuffled between the hospital and the desolate house, my mind a fog of pain and disbelief. I felt like I was drowning, and the man who was supposed to be my life raft had not only pushed me under, but had then sailed away. I told no one about David's departure. The shame was a heavy cloak, suffocating me. Our families believed he was working extra hours, preparing for the baby's homecoming, a narrative I desperately clung to. But the secret was a festering wound, eating away at my soul, isolating me further in my grief. The nurses in the NICU, however, were perceptive. They noticed the subtle shifts in my demeanor, the haunted look in my eyes. One afternoon, a kind, older woman named Carol, her eyes filled with gentle concern, pulled me aside. "Honey," she said softly, her voice a balm to my raw nerves. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world. Where's your husband?" And then the dam broke. The whole ugly, heartbreaking story poured out of me. I cried in her arms, letting go of the shame, the humiliation, the crushing weight of David's betrayal. I expected pity, perhaps even judgment, but what I received was an overwhelming wave of compassion and understanding. And then, something truly incredible happened. Carol, without a moment's hesitation, or asking for my permission, started a GoFundMe page. She didn't sensationalize our story, she told the raw, honest truth. A mother left to raise 9 miracle babies on her own. She shared it with the hospital staff, and from there it spread like wildfire, carried on the winds of human empathy. The story went viral. Donations began pouring in from every corner of the globe. A few dollars here, 100 there, each contribution a ripple in an ocean of generosity. But it wasn't just money. It was an outpouring of love and support that left me breathless, humbled, and utterly overwhelmed. A local baby supply store donated a year's worth of diapers and formula, a staggering gift that brought tears to my eyes. A construction company, moved by our plight, offered to renovate our small house, adding 2 new bedrooms and a much-needed playroom, all free of charge. Volunteers, strangers who had heard our story, organized a meticulous schedule to help me with feedings, diaper changes, and round-the-clock care once the babies came home. People sent letters, cards, and gifts, not just for the babies, but for me, messages of encouragement telling me I was strong, that I was a hero, that I could do this. Strangers from across the globe were stepping in, filling the gaping void that my own husband had so callously left. Their kindness was a lifeline, pulling me from the depths of despair. It didn't erase the pain of David's betrayal, but it showed me that I wasn't alone. It gave me the strength to stand up, to dry my tears, and to fight for my children, to build a new life for us. The world had shown me more love and unwavering support in a single week than my husband had in months, or even years. I realized then that my too much was not a flaw but a strength, a capacity for love and resilience that he could never comprehend. Bringing the babies home was the most chaotic, beautiful, and terrifying day of my life. It required a meticulously planned operation, a caravan of cars, each meticulously fitted with multiple car seats, and a dedicated team of my new volunteer friends, who had become an extension of my family to manage the logistics. Our house, once a silent, sad testament to a broken dream, was now transformed. It was filled to the brim with 9 cribs, 9 high chairs, and an overwhelming ocean of baby supplies, diapers, formula, clothes, toys, all generously donated by strangers who had become our angels. And it was filled with people, my parents, my sister, and a rotating crew of these incredible volunteers, their laughter and chatter filling the once empty rooms. The first night was pure madness, a symphony of crying, feeding, burping, and changing. I barely slept a wink, moving from one crib to the next, my body aching with exhaustion, but my heart overflowing with a fierce protective love. It was a beautiful, overwhelming chaos, and it was ours. And as the weeks bled into months, we slowly, painstakingly found our rhythm. It was a messy, imperfect, sleep-deprived rhythm, but it was uniquely ours. I learned to distinguish each child's cry. Noah's demanding wail when he was hungry. Maya's soft, whimpering cry when she needed a cuddle. Leo's contented gurgle after a feeding. I mastered the art of feeding 2 babies at once, changing a diaper in record speed, and functioning on 3 hours of broken sleep. My life became a relentless, all-consuming cycle of caring for them, But in the midst of the beautiful chaos, there were moments of pure, unadulterated joy that pierced through the exhaustion. The first time Leo smiled at me, a wide, gummy grin that melted my heart. The way Luna would wrap her tiny hand around my finger and hold on tight, a fragile but powerful connection. The sound of 9 babies cooing and gurgling in unison in the morning, a chorus of pure innocence. These were the moments that fueled me, that reminded me of the profound blessing I had received. And I rarely thought of David. The pain of his memory had receded, becoming a dull ache, overshadowed by the immediate, all-consuming needs of our children. He made no attempt to contact us, no inquiries about his children. He paid the court-ordered child support, a minuscule amount that barely covered a fraction of the cost of raising 9 children, but he never asked to see them. He had successfully erased himself from our lives, a ghost of a past I was actively rebuilding. One quiet evening, after the babies were finally asleep, I was scrolling through social media when I saw a picture of him. It was on a friend's page. He was on a beach somewhere, tanned and smiling, a drink in his hand. He looked happy. Carefree. For a fleeting moment, the old rage flared, a bitter ember rekindled. But then I looked around my living room, at the 9 peaceful, sleeping faces in their cribs, and a wave of profound pity washed over me. He was chasing a shallow, fleeting happiness, while I was living in a world of profound, unconditional love, a love he had forfeited. He hadn't just lost a family, he had lost his soul, and I, in turn, had found mine. My too much was his loss, and my children, my beautiful chaos, were my perfect life. Today is their first birthday. The house, once quiet and empty, is now bursting with life, filled with balloons, streamers, and the joyous chaos of 9 one-year-olds toddling and crawling around a mountain of brightly wrapped presents. My family is here, the incredible volunteers who have become my closest friends are here, and even some of the NICU nurses, including the compassionate Carol, have come to celebrate this monumental milestone. We have 9 small cakes, each with a single flickering candle, a symbol of each precious life. As we sing happy birthday, I look at my children, Noah, Luna, Leo, Maya, and the others, each a unique, vibrant personality. They are not a burden, not a catastrophe. They are my universe. A few weeks ago, I received a letter from David's mother. He was miserable, she wrote, consumed by regret, wanting to see the children. I read the letter and felt nothing. No anger, no desire for revenge, just a quiet understanding. He had made his choice, and I had made mine. My choice was life, love, and the unwavering commitment to my children. His was abandonment. His justice is the emptiness he chose. My victory is the overflowing love that surrounds me. He said I was too much, but I was just enough, and more than enough, for my children. Our future is not built on his limitations, but on the boundless love and strength that grew from his departure. We are thriving, a testament to the power of embracing one's own too much, and building a life that truly fits.